Mike Tomlin was on First Take yesterday. This is what I was told by somebody who is part of the process here. I can't give away too many details, but they said yesterday their goal is to get both of these guys to sit with the commissioner, Myles Garrett and Mason Rudolph. If you really want, if I'm Mason Rudolph, I'm livid. I'm not threatening a lawsuit. I'm suing you. Just say, hook us up to a lie detector. Whatever it is, I want my name cleared. Because when you go into that locker room, you want to make sure those players believe you. Mike Tomlin came out. Now, he was upset at Outside the Lines in their reporting of this, apparently, and the fact that they had Myles Garrett on. But, I mean, so can I get them both in the room with the commissioner? That's what I was told. That's the only way this is going to get settled. Because it's just going to hang out. That's why I said for weeks, I go, has anybody heard anything about Myles Garrett and these accusations? And the answer was no. And then he got reinstated. And I go, do we know anything else about this? But if I'm Mason Rudolph, I'm suing Myles Garrett. If I didn't do anything, I didn't say anything, I'm suing him. And if I'm Myles Garrett and I'm all in, now my biggest question with Myles Garrett is this. Because here it is, Myles Garrett after the game. He did say to a teammate, might have been to his former GM, that something was said. When he was in front of the media, he was contrite and apologetic. Now, if that just happened, and it affected me that much, I'm not apologetic. Now, I might come to my senses afterwards and say, hey, I still shouldn't have lost my cool here. Whatever you want to say after the fact where you go, I got some time to think about this. If that happened, he goes to his locker. You notice none of his teammates, nobody backed him up. Nobody had his back. You know, maybe one or two did. Like they were all saying, oh, you know, it never should have happened. And, you know, Baker Mayfield, what he said. If Myles Garrett was on the receiving end of a racial slur like that, I would have been livid. If I'm livid enough to grab your helmet and hit you over the head, I then don't go to my locker and go, you know, I'm really sorry. You know, embarrass the franchise. You know, he was very, very apologetic. I understand what happened in the moment. You can even say, I lost my cool and that's on me and I'm going to pay a pretty heavy fine on this. But I can't stand here and say, hey, you know what? This didn't happen and it doesn't affect me that way. It did. I lost my cool. Okay. Yes, dude.
Like you said, Mike Tomlin's been upset about sort of the way that ESPN handled that interview.
Yep.
But he might have a point, though, that the Steelers aren't really being treated very fairly. Because there's like this article says, Mike Tomlin still refuses to admit any Steelers wrongdoing over brawl with Browns. That implies that Mike Tomlin just refuses to admit that they were wrong, which might not be the case.
Well, but the way they acted after the fact, I mean, they were still wrong in how they reacted. I mean, we would all come to the defense of our teammates, especially a guy who got hit with a helmet, but that doesn't mean it was right.
Well, I like that Mike Tomlin has like some of the best quotes now because he's speaking about this. But he said he was just like, poor like Mason Rudolph, he essentially got fined $50,000 for getting beat up.
Yeah.
Like, thanks, coach.
Yeah, he did. Here's Mike Tomlin on Mason Rudolph's reputation.
He's a hard-working, what you see is what you get guy. He's not capable of those things. But again, that perspective comes from being around him day to day. I'm not trying to sell you or your viewers. I'm just here to support him and provide a little bit of perspective that I don't think was provided in that piece this weekend.
All right. Once again, talking about Outside the Lines. Here's Mike Tomlin on Garrett's accusations of Mason Rudolph.
These accusations are serious, not only in terms of Mason Rudolph's character, but his professional pursuits. Nobody on that field, as a member of the Cleveland Browns or the Pittsburgh Steelers, corroborated what was said by Myles Garrett. That was founded by us and the National Football League, and at no point during that piece this weekend that was stated.
All right. I was just told that trying to get those two together so that you could solve this. This isn't good for the NFL. I mean, it's not good for either one of these players, certainly for Mason Rudolph. But if I'm the NFL, I want both of you to, you just had the hearing, you just got reinstated. Prior to reinstating Myles Garrett, I would have had Mason Rudolph with Myles Garrett, and I would have said, let's settle this. I want both of you to come in here. Might have been awkward, but I need Mason Rudolph to be there with Myles Garrett, and Myles Garrett to say, I know what you said. Or Mason Rudolph to say, you know I didn't say that. But this isn't going away. Yeah, Pauline.
But if I'm either party in this case, I don't know which person said what or didn't, I'm not agreeing to any private conversation with the commissioner to put this to bed. If I'm being accused of this, or if I'm Myles Garrett and I had it said to me, I would not agree to anything to put it to bed. I'd be like, let's get in a courtroom and do a deposition and say, put your name on it.
Well, then do that if you're Mason Rudolph. Yeah. If you've been slandered like that, if somebody said that about me and I didn't say it, then I would sue you for slander. Absolutely. Plus, he's in a locker room with minorities, African Americans. I mean, come on. This is his living where he's going into that locker room, and he's got players who he's trying to lead there. But whether that happens or not, it'd be great TV if they allowed us to watch that. But like, how did it leak out what he told the commissioner? That's what I want to know too. I mean, that's another thing. You know, you start to look at agendas here, and that story's sort of lingering there and going to linger. And then when the Browns play the Steelers, Mason Rudolph is not going to be the starting quarterback. More than likely, it'll be Ben, but it's still going to be there. And that week leading up to it, Myles Garrett going to be front and center. Mason Rudolph won't be because he won't be starting, but that story's not going away.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV, stream for free on BR Live, or download the Dan Patrick Show app.